What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the January 16th YouTube Fantasy Cruncher Slate preview. I'm the Siege. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like the video. It does help us out a lot with YouTube. So please hit that subscribe and like button if you like the video. All right, let's do it. We've got 5 games today. Some interesting ones for sure. We'll start with Phoenix at the Knicks. Injury news here. Marcus Morris still out. Game time decision. Mitchell Robinson, game time decision. Reggie Bullock, game time decision. Kelly Oubre is out with a concussion. So the real value here for us is Ricky Rubio's back as well. So the big value here is going to open up for Cam Johnson. He's the next in line. Mikal Bridges also next in line. He played 33 minutes off the bench in that game where he suffered the concussion. He's been playing really well. So, huge fan of Mikal Bridges. Here at 4,500, it's too cheap. Cam Johnson, 3,100. I imagine he's going to be your go-to value. He's not going to shoot 3 for 4 again, but he'll also have a higher usage than 9%. He's 3,100. He's going to be the big winner with Kelly Oubre out. Now, with all the other guys, starters still playing, it's not like they're going to be huge point-per-minute guys. But, if we go just take a quick look. If I take Oubre off the floor, and I'll just throw Booker on. And I look at fantasy points. Cam Johnson, 0.8 fantasy point per minute player. Mikal Bridges, 0.7 fantasy point per minute. So, again, if those guys can get over 30 minutes, definitely in a great shape to pay off their price. Now, Cam Johnson probably doesn't get to 30, but 24 to 28 minutes for Cam Johnson, I think is a really fair projection. Knicks-wise, Julius Randle's a good option. Phoenix doesn't really have a huge front court. But other than that, RJ Barrett's price is finally up. And everyone else is kind of just, meh. Elliot Kobo, you can go back to not playing him, which is what you should have done the whole time. But hey, we can move on to the next game. But best plays in this game are Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges. Next game, the one that I will be watching intently, the Boston Celtics are heading to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 10-point favorites. Celtics injury report just came out right before this show started. Jaylen Brown's the only one left on the injury report with a finger injury. I think he'll go. It's a big game against Milwaukee here. Tough spot for Boston. They're all priced down, but Milwaukee's a really good team. It's not going to be the fastest paced game, but I think you have to give yourself a strong, hard look at Jaylen Brown if he goes. Hayward, Kemba. Tatum's probably the one at 78 you could let go, but power forwards, stretch fours against Milwaukee can do damage. So a lot of guys here that could do well. This is a Marcus Smart type game as well. 5,500. Don't mind him, especially if Jaylen Brown's out in this type of intense game. It feels like a Marcus Smart game. The other thing I would want to note, it's not really fantasy relevant, but I expect Grant Williams to get a DNP today. Semi Ojeleye I expect to come off the bench and guard Giannis on those second unit minutes. I'm not sure it really matters, but maybe if you're playing Showdown or something, I would just point out that I think Semi Ojeleye is the guy who steals those minutes. For Milwaukee, Dante and Wesley Matthews, game time decision. If one of them's in, one of them's out, the other becomes a really good value option. Pat Connaughton would also be a winner, especially if both were out. George Hill, 3,800, could be a spot where he plays more minutes. Eric Bledsoe has had his demons against the Celtics in the past, so if you're looking for a cheap guy, could be him as well. Giannis, 11,700. I mean, they've been involved in a ton of blowouts lately, so the price has gone down, but this should be a competitive four-quarter game. I mean, I know the Boston's a 10-point dog. I think that's kind of more due to the back-to-back fatigue than they're truly a 10-point dog here. But if Boston could keep this competitive, which they did the first time, Milwaukee was big favorites in Boston, and Boston won that game outright. So I definitely think that it's possible for Boston. So 11-7 for Giannis is great. And then Brook Lopez, 4,800 is just too cheap. Hasn't had to play any minutes because they've had huge leads, and that's fantastic. But, I don't think you're going to be getting a 20, 25-point blowout against Boston. So I think this is going to be one of Giannis's higher minute games that we've seen in a long time. I mean, if we just take a quick look at it, we can just see, 21 minutes, he put up 57 fantasy points. That's so ridiculous. He's just so good. When he plays 4 quarters, he's just going to be on the winning GPP team. Like, every time. It's just incredible. So, Brook Lopez, 4,800. He's having the same kind of issues as Giannis. Just haven't needed him. So, the price has gone down. This is an important game. So, I just eye on that. And don't play Daniel Tice. I think he's also a guy that could lose minutes to Semi Ojale. Cantor, too, could have a role against Robin Lopez. I kind of want to see that. We didn't really see much of that the first game. Kind of really do want to see it today in the second game. All right. This game's kind of like the best game to watch on TV, which honestly most times makes it one of the worst DFS games to watch. Next game, Utah at the Pelicans, 225 total. Brandon Ingram, game time decision. Jrue Holiday is out. Zion we'll see back on the 22nd. Obviously, any NBA fan's going to love it. JJ Redick is a game time decision. Jahlil Okafor is a game time decision. Derek Favors is back, 5,900. Fantastic option here. If Okafor plays, that'd be great. If he can't, I mean, Derek Favors is the next best option, 5,900. He's going to have to play a ton of minutes against Gobert. I imagine he's going to try to stretch out Gobert any chance he gets. So that's an option. Lonzo's too expensive for me now at 79. All the kind of Pelican shooters like Etuan Moore, too expensive. Josh Hart, too expensive. Jackson Hayes maybe is viable at 4,400 off the bench, and he can kind of draw more Tony Bradley and less Gobert, but I wouldn't be wild about it. So, really this is kind of one of those situations where I think this is a pretty big stay away. We've had this injury situation for a few days now, so the prices have adjusted. Not a ton of value here. A guy I do like today, Bojan Bogdanovic, he's 6,000. Really hasn't had the break the slate game in a while. Like, he did well against Washington, but so does everyone. But this is a good spot with if Brandon Ingram sits. I think he'll be able to get a lot of open shots in the corner. I think you'll see them trying to collapse in the paint against Gobert and Donovan Mitchell in that pick and roll. I think Bojan will get a lot of wide open threes from the corner. So Bojan Bogdanovic, 6K. Kind of seems a little expensive. I do like this spot for him. I don't really think there's anything else I need to talk about in this game, sadly. Gobert and Donovan Mitchell are short slate options. If they make it, great. If they don't, I'm not heartbroken either. All right, 2 more games to go. Denver, Golden State. This is the big injury news game of the slate. Jamal Murray is out, and Gary Harris is a game time decision, and Paul Millsap, game time decision. So this is the one, especially if you're playing on FanDuel today, you're going to have to make some decisions if we don't have this news before lock. That definitely is one of those tough decisions you have to make. So with Jamal Murray off the floor, and I'm just going to put Jokic on the floor just because I'm not sure what other starters will be on the floor for the Nuggets today. So if I put Jokic on the floor and Jamal Murray off the floor, the big winner is Nikola Jokic, obviously, but we're also looking at Will Barton, 1.3 fantasy points per minute. That's a fantastic sample, but you can just see Monty Morris, Gary Harris. They all do okay, but they don't do anything super great. So I think that they'll be better plays over a longer stretch than they would be like over a 4 or 5 minute stretch in a game. But I think that's just something to point out as well, is that Jokic is kind of the biggest winner here. So as we kind of go back and look at the pricing on these guys, like Monty Morris is 4,400. It is the Warriors, but that's a tough price for me. That's basically kind of closer to the ceiling, I think, than the median projection. So I would be a little sketchy on Monte Morris. I think I'd rather play the other guys, Michael Porter Jr., Malik Beasley, especially if Gary. That's more of if Gary Harris is out, but I wouldn't mind Michael Porter Jr. Monty Morris is fine. If you need a value play, go for it. You do have to fit Giannis in somehow, and Jokic is only 9,600. So, that is like 20% of your cap, or 40% of your salary cap in 2 players. So, you definitely might need some value, but I just thought point out there. And Will Barton, 6,800, as we mentioned, also one of the big winners when Jamal Murray sits. For the Warriors, it's basically the D'Angelo Russell show. He shot the ball horribly against Dallas, and they got projectably blown out. But here against Denver at home, if he's shooting the ball well, he's going to be a 1.3, 1.4 fantasy point per minute guy, and he's going to kill this 7,500 tag. Draymond, 5,800. he just doesn't really do anything without those guys around him. Just really tough for him to break a slate. It's possible, but I'm just going to be away from him at this point. Damian Lee back, expected to play after sitting out a few games because the contract wasn't done. So he'll be back. So, fewer minutes for Alec Burks, fewer minutes for Glenn Robinson III, who I do like a lot, but it's just tough to pay $4,500 when Damian Lee rehopping into that rotation. So really for me, we're focusing mostly on Russell from Golden State, and on Denver side, Will Barton, Nikola Jokic, and then if Harris misses, kind of then we can get into Monte Morris, Michael Porter Jr., Malik Beasley types. And they're fringy plays with just Jamal Murray out. Like you can do it. It's just I don't think they're as safe as maybe people will make them out to be. All right, final game, Orlando Magic going to the Clippers. Clippers 11-point favorites. This is a fantastic spot for Kawhi Leonard. He's 10-1. We saw what he could do against the Cavs in 3 quarters. Put up 61 DK on great shooting. That's not going to happen all the time, but he does have that kind of ceiling. This game against the Magic could be a little bit closer than that. The Magic are better than the Cavs, obviously. So 10-1, he's kind of the top option. And then honestly, everyone else for the Clippers is kind of just a pass for me. There's a bunch of good guys, but this rotation I think is one of the hardest ones to figure out in the NBA right now. So let me just go show you the Clippers rotation. It's just hard. There's just a lot of guys getting minutes. So, Lou Williams is playing some big minutes off the bench and then no minutes in the second half. JaMychal Green's playing big minutes. Magruder, Harrell, Jerome Robinson. So, they're playing 10 guys. And when you play 10 guys with a bunch of role guys, it's hard. It definitely is hard to figure out where the ceiling is. In these elite games, I don't think they're going to be playing 10 guys, but I think in games like the Magic, they will play 10 guys. And so that kind of just, for me, really knocks out the rest of the Clippers team. They all have ceilings for sure, and if you're stacking the game, then I would try to find one, but other than that, no. So we've got a bunch of injuries here for Orlando. Michael Carter-Williams, game time decision. DJ Augustine, game time decision. Jonathan Isaac is out until next season, basically, and Evan Fournier, game time decision. If Fournier misses, Ross is the beneficiary. Ross's price is up, though, so you're not really getting much benefit. Vooch is a bigger point per minute guy in these situations, 8,500. Don't mind that. But, again, you have to compare this to some of the other games available, and it's like, is this game better than Phoenix and the Knicks? Probably not. Is this game better than Denver and Golden State? Probably not. Is this game better than Boston and Milwaukee, which is a competitive game, and you'll get big minutes from those guys? Probably not. So, I don't mind using one of these guys as a filler, but they're certainly not going to be core plays. So, just to kind of recap, favorite studs are Giannis and Jokic. Favorite value is Cam Johnson. And there's a bunch of good plays on the slate. So, the pricing's pretty good. I think we'll have most of the injury information. Denver will probably be the lone holdout, so you might have to do a little bit guessing there. But that's it. So 5-game slate in the books. Really appreciate you guys watching. Again, please subscribe, like. It really does help us out. And then until tomorrow, good luck, everybody.